Now, you're one of two candidates. Not that you were surprised, because you've been the interim chief and you've been with the department now how long?
30 years.
So do you feel like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be at this point?
I'm committed to this community. This is where I'm supposed to be regardless of what rank I'm in. I'm remaining right here working for this community.
What do you think about, what's the difference in policing today versus 30 years ago, Chief, when you started?
Technology, one of them, is a big issue. Technology, when I started, was changing every 5-6 years. Now it's changing every 6 months. So we're really trying to keep up with what the new technologies are that can make officers more efficient, be a force multiplier for us. The other thing is relationships. When I started in policing 30 years ago, it was just whatever officer wanted to do, whatever their discretion was, that made the decision, that determined the outcome. Now it's all about building relationships and policing in a manner that the neighborhoods want, and it may differ from neighborhood to neighborhood.
Let me ask you about, like you just said something about technology. Whenever you see a bad apple in the bunch, it almost defines the whole police department, not just here in Columbus, but across the nation. How do you try to rebuild relations after something like that happens, even when it doesn't happen here in Columbus?
Well, I think that's a new phenomenon just because social media, everyone now has a voice to weigh in and drives the conversation. I think, one, we can do a better job of delivering our story, telling our story and what's unique to Columbus and why we're doing things, in the manner we're doing them for the community. I think that's important. It's still about how we interact and engage. Good people do sometimes are involved in a bad situation and things go bad. There's just a nature of policing. Other times, good people sometimes do bad things. So whether it be the public or the police. So I think we have to recognize that, be transparent, and address problems where they are, but focus on the success we have and make sure that people realize this is maybe more out of the norm, and it's not indicative of the entire division of police.
But what do you say to people who say, but we see videos like this surfacing every single day? Not here in Columbus, but like I said, when it affects one, it affects you all.
It can, but even the video, I tell you, if you watch sports, you'll see, the very high-end overhead camera that still people cannot decide whether it was inbounds or out of bounds, and that's with a $30,000 camera. We're wearing an $800 camera, and it's not on a gyroscope. It's moving, and that camera that people are seeing films of are not telling the entire story. That is not. You have to be patient enough to wait and see what else is there that we're not aware of yet. And a lot of people want to drive the message and tell the story with limited facts. We want to make sure that we can tell our story and provide the facts, good or bad. If they're bad, we're going to be transparent and tell them, but we want to make sure that the facts are accurate.
And while I do have you, Chief, one of the lawmakers out of Cleveland is proposing that when kids go through these driver's education classes at 16, that they take a part of the course include how to respond when you're pulled over by a police. Do you think that helps the police officers as well as the students?
I really do. I think that's such a smart approach. We spend a lot of time training officers how to conduct traffic stops, but again, it is a two-way street. There's an interaction there at any traffic stop, and sometimes the other person's actions dictate the officer's reaction, and so why not provide both viewpoints? Let the officer know what the citizen may be, or the resident, the driver may be experiencing, but also let the person behind the wheel know what maybe the officer's experiencing, so it might drive their decision making or how they handle themselves in that stop. It's just smart to educate each other on how we interact.
So you have the forum next week.
Yes.
The 21st. Are you a little nervous about that? I mean, hearing from, because it's not just the city officials asking you and interviewing you, it is the community. Columbus will be interviewing you.
I'm confident in what I've accomplished to this point, and I'm prepared to move forward if the community chooses to have me do so. If not, I will be sure that the next chief is set up in a way that they can hit the ground running and be successful.
So if you could ask about community policing, how do you bridge that gap now between some communities here in Columbus and the police department? How do you help people understand that the cops aren't the bad guys?
Well, I hope they don't think that. And I think through our actions and our deeds, we've demonstrated over and over that we are the good guys and we're the ones that you need to rely on when you need help. We will be there. And I think the idea is relationship building, communications. There's so many things that go wrong just from a lack of communication. Just having this conversation and being able to connect with somebody can change an opinion or a mind in both sides. Maybe change my view and can also change somebody else's view. So I think communication and relationship building is valuable.
And how would you answer when asked about diversity? This community, the police department should represent the city that it serves. Would you say that Columbus does? You've got about, 2,000 officers in the department?
About 1,900, and we do not have a diverse workforce that's representative of the community. I think it adds a lot of value, and I'm committed to building that diversity through our cadet program, through diversity recruiting pipeline, and through how we handle our recruiting efforts. So I don't really need a lot of Tom Quinlans on the police department. I have that. I need people who have other experiences, life experience, other skills, other viewpoints. And I see a lot of value in that because I'm not interacting with a lot of Tom Quinlans out there. I'm interacting with a variety of people. I need a variety of ideas and a variety of life experiences to bring to that interaction.
And how important do you want people to know that it is that you're not coming in to serve and protect this community, that community. You want people, it's a two-way street. You want the community to work with you. It makes your job a lot easier. So how do you get that message out, Chief?
Again, I just have to go back to relationship building. I think if we are looking beyond the traffic stop, looking beyond the interaction on whether it's a domestic violence or a theft from auto or a serious crime, that we're looking at the victim and what the victim and their family is experiencing, what the person that's accused of a crime is dealing with in their family. We need to look beyond all the black and white and see all the shades of gray.
Good deal. Anything else you want people to know about you here in Columbus that they don't already know about you and being a chief? I know it's been 30 years, but like you said, things have changed and you haven't always been that Quinlan on the department that's had to do interviews like this. You've just been a cop's cop.
I hope I'm actually viewed that way as a cop's cop. That's where my passion has been. That's what I've done for most of my career. I've been in a uniform patrol assignment for probably 20 of my 30 years in some rank or another, and that's really what I enjoy the most, is actually just interacting with people and finding ways to make a safer neighborhoods for everyone.
I would like that part of the job better too. Yeah, let me get a two-shot, one quick.
More of a budget. I don't know if you addressed it or not. A lot of money coming towards you, getting to recruits. Is it enough?
Thank you.
Not enough? Would like more?
And in the cadet program too.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So, but about the budget. Is this going to be enough to give you the officers that you need? You're going to be losing a number of them to retirement.
We will, but I think the mayor has a plan over the next several years to build up the number of officers, and I have a plan to redeploy personnel to be more efficient. So between technology efficiencies, being a force multiplier, redistributing personnel to areas that they're needed the most and at the right times of day, and with the infusion of new personnel that the mayor's approving and city council, thankful for them to help us accommodate that. I think we are making great progress. Everyone would, if they were given more, would find ways to use more. One of the challenges of being a major city chief is accomplishing the mission with what you are given, because we cannot dominate the entire budget. We have to recognize other neighborhoods, development, everyone else, Rexon Park, all have a need to build the Columbus to be more vibrant, and it can't just be us. We have to find a way to make it work, and I'm committed to doing that, and I think we have a good plan in place to do that.
Good deal. And about the cadet program.
Yeah, the cadets, I'm really excited about the cadet program. I got in the ground floor of that with Director Pettis, and when Mayor Ginther asked, me to prepare a 10-year strategic plan for recruiting. One of the hallmarks of that was a cadet recruiting pipeline for diversity. We were able to bring people in, have them work from 18 to 21, those years where a lot of people get done high school and what do you do till you're 21? We'd see people maybe get in trouble and be disqualified from the process. This is a way to get people working second shift, get used to shift work, get used to taking reports. Most importantly, get used to talking to people. Everyone's on their phone now, and they know how to do one-way communication through a text, but they don't necessarily know how to stand face-to-face and just have a conversation. We're going to build that that technique up and that experience. So they're going to be a lot more prepared when they do get into the academy. They'll be more prepared for the test, more prepared for the academy, and more importantly, more prepared when they actually wear this badge and become police officers.
And is there an emphasis on bringing in that diversity in that cadet program then? Because sometimes I've heard it said that some kids' opinions about police officers formed way before they even turned 10 years old. You knew before you were 10 that you wanted to be a police officer, correct?
Actually, no. I was older when I was an adult when I decided this was the career path for me. But you're right about getting children when they're at least in middle school age, even elementary age, that having those positive impressions. There's restaurants today I don't go to because I had a negative experience there. People don't frequent locations where they don't have good experiences. And it's the same for police. If you don't have a good experience with an officer when you're young, are you going to see that as a viable option for you? Unless you just have a passion to change the system from within, you may not be gravitating towards that. So I think the cadet program brings young people in, gets them skills, and gets them prepared to be able to take on the role of being a police officer in a major city and provide the service that the community deserves.